On this episode of Star Trek Universe, we are talking about Picard 204 Watcher, right after these words from our mystery sponsors.
Welcome to Star Trek Universe, the podcast where you get to listen in on the continuing Star Trek conversation two lifelong friends have been having since they were 6 years old. My name's Matthew Carroll.
I am David C. Robertson.
David C. Robertson.
Mm-hmm.
What's happening, bud?
Nothing much, man. You know what? I'm already sick of the hot weather.
Yeah?
Like Alabama has, in the daytime, at the very least, turned into a furnace.
Yeah, it was pretty hot yesterday.
And I have a little snippet. I have an answer for the world's scientific community. Everyone's wondering, where are the bees? Where have the bees gone? Well, apparently they're in my ass. Because down here in Alabama, every time I turn around, there's a freaking bee behind me. And it's coming for me. Why can't there be a bee shortage here?
The hive is after you, man. The hive is after you.
Buzzy bastards.
All right. Speaking of queens of the hive, the queens being pretty suspicious, pretty sussy.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious. As the kids sing on TikTok.
As all the 30-year-olds watching, I think that's what kids do these days.
Well, hey, that's what I see them do, you know? I'm like, we knew that from Parks and Rec like 15 years ago. Mm-hmm. Jenny Slade, what up?
Okay, so the Star Trek show that we're talking about tonight, what did you think, bud? The episode 4 of Picard.
I was at once confused.
Okay.
But also enamored.
I hear that.
Uh-huh.
There's what confused? Well, I guess tell me the enamored part first. Let's stick to the positives. What did you think about what enamored you?
Well, it's sort of the part of what the same thing that confused me, which is it ties in. So one, I loved pretty much the whole episode for the most part. Like I am not sure I'm buying the new actress who's playing Guinan, but
just buying her as Guinan.
Right.
It worked for me.
Yeah. I mean, it was fine and I can deal with it and move on. I did have, and I know Star Wars does both, but I was just like, man, I wish they'd just like thrown a little more budget into this and just put her face on, like, Whoopi's face on, like a stunt double or something.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
I hear you. It does. I guess it doesn't really bother me. It's just a recasting.
Yeah.
And the only thing that bothered me about it is that it felt like they were trying to make us forget that Samuel Clemens episode or whatever.
Oh yeah, no. The actress who played, and I don't know her name, and I can't say it. I know when I read it, I couldn't say it. But she said that she actually is a huge Star Trek fan, and she went to Terry Matalas and asked, why Guinan didn't remember Picard from Time Zero. Mm-hmm. And she said she never got an answer, but Terry Matalas recently came out and said, no, the reason is in this timeline, because of the change, Picard was out warmongering and he never went back in time in Time Zero and met her.
Oh, that makes sense, actually.
Okay. You know where it falls apart, though?
What's that?
The fact that the thug on the bus
is the same thug on the bus.
Well, that he reacted the way he did.
Right. Like, that joke is meant to say that, like, last time he reacted poorly, Spock put him to sleep. So now he's not going to mess with people with a sort of, like, I don't know, like that sort of, like, logical demeanor like Seven has. He's like,
or anyone who tells him to turn that damn racket off.
Right. Doesn't seem like a nerve pinch is that scarring that 40 years later or whatever you'd be like, I don't know about that, man. All right, I don't want to take a nap.
I don't know what he did to me, but I woke up. I don't know. It could be potentially quite violating.
Oh, for sure.
Like if you just woke up like several hours later or 20 minutes later and
you don't know what happened.
You don't know what happened.
Yeah.
So you like go home and you're like freaking out and looking at your body like what happened? What did he do?
Yeah, nothing horrible seems like I'm not bruised. I'm not like broken and my jaw's okay. Like I suddenly am asleep. That was a fun callback, but yes, I agree that if that joke doesn't work, if that can't exist.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, no, no, you're right. It depends on how much the change affects the timeline, which we don't know yet. But this is we're bearing down on a very small. They made it was used as a joke, and there's lots of reasons that guy could have responded differently. And
Guinan's different than that guy. Guinan had words repeated to her and threw up. So because she could sense the alternate timeline. So
yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah.
Who knows?
So it makes that answer makes sense. The guy on the bus withstanding is a joke that could have worked for some other reason. It's not illogical for a guy to just say like, okay, fine. It could just be a joke about him getting older, him being an older guy. Like, all right, fine. I don't want to
like that song.
Yeah, it's so funny to hear that song again. Like in different.
It was
contexts.
An updated version too.
Well, yeah, I just remembered the it sounded very. I remember the words basically.
Yeah. Well, the original was "I hate you," and this one was "I still hate you."
Oh, okay. I thought so. Okay, I remember hearing that. Be like, wait, what? This is so familiar and so not. Okay.
But it was the same actor. It was he was the musician who wrote this and performed the song. Mm-hmm. And he was also like a producer on Dinosaurs. He's done a bunch of stuff in his life, dude.
That's weird. Ah, man. It seems like there's just this culture out in LA of just like, especially if you have parents or whatever that like work on the stuff, that like people just fall into weird, cool jobs out there like that, Mm-hmm. It's neat.
I don't know. I didn't have anything to say about that. But I loved it. I loved it.
I also hate it. I hate that concept because I don't live out there and I'm jealous of those people. But it does seem like kind of a cool life. I just watched Licorice Pizza, the Oscar contender. We're doing a bunch of Oscar movies over on Bingers Assemble. And
sounds terrible.
Oh, I always enjoy.
I'm so sorry.
I always enjoy the Oscar movies. Like it makes me watch movies that I don't normally watch, like a bunch of like art house stuff that I would normally see. And Licorice Pizza is like a Paul Thomas Anderson movie, so like it's really well done. But it's about like a kid who's just living in LA and he's like running around trying to make his bones.
Let's see. Yeah, Paul Thomas Anderson is one of those that I really like as a director. I did not know that was him. I haven't paid attention to it for a few years, but the Oscars were not going to be the thing that brought me back. I would actually just wind up looking up Paul Thomas Anderson and being like, what is he doing lately? And then just like binge all of his movies.
To me, it's always interesting to see like what the sort of Hollywood elites think is the cutting edge. You know what I mean? Like, because Oscars is that, like often it's either that or it's like homages to old Hollywood. Like that's basically all the Oscars are. Or sometimes huge spectacle, like Dune is one of the Oscar contenders, and or the best picture. Like we were going to try to do some Oscar movies, and it turned out like they did 10 best picture noms this year. So
gross.
Yeah, which they just expanded a few years ago to where they can do 10. It used to be 5, I think. But so we were like, well, I guess we're just doing best picture because we can't get to all, and we're still the Oscars are Sunday. We still got a couple to do. So we'll see if we can make it.
Yes, I don't even know when the Oscars is.
Yeah, like, I don't normally pay attention, but there's been a few years that were very rewarding where me and Alyssa, just for, I don't know, cultural expansion or something, we decided to intentionally watch all the Oscar contenders. Me and Alyssa did. Like, what was it? And sometimes it's not even before the Oscars. It's like after the Oscars happen. We watch like all the winners or something like that. Just to see what we were kind of missing when we're not watching all the art house stuff. Yeah, it's been fun. And so to do it on Bingers has been cool.
Okay.
But, we're gonna try to do an episode tomorrow where we actually talk about kind of all of them, like a horse race style. Like, what did you think? Who's gonna win? You know, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. And then do one after, of course, as a wrap up. But anyway, Star Trek.
Yeah, man.
Okay, let's kind of go character by character because I feel like this episode it is more broken apart than the previous episodes because they're literally never together, right? You know.
Something like that, yeah.
We got the Seven and Raffi storyline, running around downtown, phasering cop cars, fuck the police kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I find it really interesting what they're doing with ICE because, and I'm sure there are people out there who saying, you know, again, at this point, I think it's probably lost most of the people that really care, but the like, Star Trek's too woke kind of thing. But like, I mean, for Star Trek to reach a point in its history where the sanctuary district, they actually mentioned sanctuary districts this episode. And it's like, for Star Trek to have finally like kind of merged the times where like they've already told so close to this era that now we are catching up. And we've already done that before with like the 1999, but they never have directly faced it like this. And I don't know, it's just interesting to see they go back to an era that's dystopian and it's just our era. And like they're not even like every time they normally do that, it's like there's some organization like, oh, look, it's the people that enforce the laws here and they're some sort of dystopia. And like, no, it's just ICE. Like it's interesting for them to be like so directly pointing out like, no, we live in a dystopia. Like it's pretty crazy.
Yeah. It was funny because I saw some people on Twitter saying like, oh, this was a little heavy handed with ICE. And I'm like, no, it's just reality now. Like, I was thinking the same thing. Like, you could swallow it, and this is what Roddenberry knew back in the days. You could swallow it with it as long as it's not called a thing you recognize. That's and right. The uniforms are a little different. You're like, oh, those are the bad guys, obviously. That's the evil bureaucracy that's doing awful things. But when it's like, you know, someone who's wearing a familiar uniform, you're like, oh, they're trying to make a statement. They always were.
They always were. And I get where they're coming from. Like, I do think there's value to allegory, obviously.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. And I think it's more likely, you're more likely to, like, let's just be honest with it here. Conservatives versus liberals here in this country. Like, you're going to catch more conservative flies with the honey of allegory. But like, you know, it's just an interesting thing for them to do the opposite and just be like, no, we're going straight at this one. Like, this is just like, we're living in a dystopia and we're going to talk about it.
Yeah.
The fact that, you know, a man can land here and because he doesn't have any documentation and because he's of a certain ethnicity, he's going to get sent off to a place where no one can find him. Like, it's pretty dark. It's pretty dark.
Yep.
With no real care for his own well-being, even though he's done nothing wrong. So, yeah, pretty dark.
That's not okay. Yeah, so I liked that storyline, though. I thought it was, you know, appropriately dark and a lot of fun to see Seven get the hang of that car so quickly.
We talked about it last season, but I had no sense last season that they were in any kind of relationship.
At the end of the
season.
Yeah, there were like a couple of like looky scenes.
Okay.
And then and then it seemed like they had like a good rapport in the couple conversations they had. And then at the very end, we see them sitting at the table in the La Serena and they were like holding hands. They were like interlocking fingers.
Were they?
Yeah.
Oh, wow. I didn't remember that at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Remember, because I joked that once again they were waiting until the last episode to shove Seven into a relationship that didn't that felt really forced. You know,
I didn't remember that. I remember that being on the show. I remember after the episode came out, they announced that like next season we'll be exploring the relationship between them, and I was like, and we were talking about it a lot, but I didn't remember that they actually on screen did that.
Yeah, they did.
Okay, and it clearly more has developed in the intervening time between them, but still not too much. They're still like they Girardi started to say relationship and kind of got cut off by them, which was pretty funny. I like how I don't know, their relationship seems very imperfect, and they seem very I don't know, seems very real so far.
Yeah, but you know, I enjoy both of those actors, and I don't know. I kind of hope for the best for them.
Yeah.
Whatever that means.
Them running from the cops and speeding down the road and like doing like, you know, whatever cool car maneuvers and then getting beamed out felt very epic. Like seeing 7 of 9 on the streets doing that sort of thing was a lot of fun. And then seeing, I don't know, Raffi is fitting into that pantheon of Star Trek characters that I love now, which I didn't expect as much, but like Raffi feels like she belongs next to 7 of 9. And I don't know, there's a part of me that could have been like, 7 of 9's like a Star Trek character that I know and love, and Raffi's this, you know, she's new, I'm still getting used to her, but like Raffi's like settled in. I feel really good about Raffi as like a character from Star Trek that I love, you know?
Right. You know, much ado has been made of like how they're, you know, the OTP, the one true pair. I don't ship anybody. I don't, I ship no one. Whatever the writers want to do, I'm there for. But they do have great chemistry.
Yeah. Agreed.
For sure. However their relationship evolves.
Right. Yeah.
I do enjoy seeing them on screen together.
I'm not really talking about that at all. Like I'm talking about her as a.
Oh, I know. Oh no, you're not.
The place that Raffi's finding in my heart. Not so much in Seven's, but in mine personally. Yeah,
I'm here for that.
Yeah, man, me too.
Dude, freaking Girardi.
Yeah, we brought up Girardi there for a second. Girardi talks about trust with the Borg Queen, and the Borg Queen tells her how it's not good to trust anyone. Yeah. And Girardi proves her point by like not living up to her into the bargain.
Yeah.
Which shows, I don't know what that shows to the Borg Queen. It seems to legitimately anger the Borg Queen.
Yeah.
But also, does it show that Girardi is like sort of like slyer than even the Borg Queen thinks? You know what I mean?
Like, I think it at least showed her or showed us that Girardi is as cruel, if not more cruel, than the Borg Queen claimed she was. And I loved that, like, after that whole speech about how cruel she is and the trust conversation, Girardi just, like, bounces, like, I don't know. She coldly bounces. Yep,
leaving her alone and, like, whatever she said a couple episodes ago, the silence of her thoughts or whatever.
Yeah. Allison Pill is killing it. I don't know why I'm surprised every week, because she's always been amazing. Loved her on the Newsroom. Love her here. Yeah. She is just really phenomenal. And Annie Wersching is doing a fantastic job as the Borg Queen.
Absolutely.
Fantastic job as the Borg Queen. Like, just creepy apple farm, dude.
Mm-hmm. This episode, her makeup bothered me a little bit, which is silly. I don't normally care about that stuff at all. But yeah, there's this like sort of like scaly look to her like neck or something.
Okay.
And this episode, I couldn't get past the fact that it was clearly just like little drawn on dashes. There's like, I don't know. There's like one place where like it could, like there's parts of her makeup that look amazing. Like these things are coming out of her head. And like, there's like all this like real, like almost body horror shit going on.
Yeah.
But then down her, I think it was down her neck, there's just these little like dash, 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 dash. And it's just like clearly like someone took an eyeliner pencil and just like put dashes down her neck, and it doesn't look like anything more than that. I don't know. I don't know why. I'd never noticed it. I noticed it this episode, and I'm like, oh, that doesn't look very intense at all, actually.
Yeah, I didn't notice that at all.
Yeah. But agreed with you completely. The actress is killing it. And overall, the effects it landed. I just got that one thing distracted me. I don't know why. I don't normally care about makeup stuff.
That's weird. That's weird for you.
It is. Sometimes just something will catch my eye and I can't forget it. Well, let's see. We got the we did talking about Girardi. We also got Picard and Girardi at Chateau Picard.
Yes, Chateau Picard, and we found out why he's a British guy.
Oh, truth.
Why he's a English-speaking British.
Yeah, his family didn't come back to France for a long time.
Right, British-sounding Frenchman. That was what I was going for.
That makes sense, yeah. I actually didn't think about that at all. I've just accepted it at this point.
Yeah. I like when they give us answers, even when it's like, see, Star Trek, sometimes you just need one line.
That's all you need.
It's one line.
The only problem is when they give us one line, they forget about that line and someone else comes along to fix it too. Instead of just like, I don't know. So sometimes it seems like they're not paying attention.
Or they ignore it. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like you already solved that. Like you said a couple weeks ago with Data's aging. Yeah. Like they threw in a line. It's like, oh, they already solved it. I'm happy. But yeah, then they do it. Then they try to solve it again. It's like, come on. You don't need to reboot him into a new body. He has an aging chip. You told me this with that one line 20, 30 years ago.
Wait, were you supposed to believe that Data hadn't been aging?
I would have.
He's gained like 40 pounds in eye bags. He's dying. We see it on screen.
Oh, you be quiet about Brent Spiner.
Hey, man, it's just a natural way. Look at my eye bags. I mean, shit. I'm right there along the ride, buddy.
We all look more like skulls every day.
Are skulls fat?
I mean, the eye bags, like our eyes start to look more like they just have those big holes in them. Our faces look more like skulls every day. As the flesh sloughs off our bodies slowly. Flesh refuses to hang on.
What is that Candyman thing called? It's Candyman. Farewell to the Flesh. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, okay. I don't know what you're talking about.
It's a Candyman movie.
All right.
It's called Farewell to the Flesh.
I believe you.
Okay, go ahead. What else you got?
Let's see. What else we got on the... I don't know. What else you got? One thing that confused me. The freaking... This idea that transporters can't go long distances in this timeline, or this time. I guess that might be... The only headcanon I have is that that's a restriction of the technology as it was built in the alternate timeline, because they act like they can't transport from the planet to the ship or like across. I mean, I guess they're transporting from, are they in France to LA?
No, that all of that was just because of the ship being screwed up, like and crashed.
Right. No, but that's not what they blame it on. They say we can't do long teleportation because there are no relays. They say it twice.
There are no relays in 2024.
Right. But we have watched Star Trek for 50 years go to unexplored planets and be able to beam all over the place.
Sometimes.
I don't know.
Sometimes they can, sometimes they can't. It depends on like cloud cover and ion.
Sure.
Clouds,
all that,
all sorts of bullshit.
Blame it on pollution or something. Let's get some more direct, non-allegorical commentary. But like, I just there's far too much carbon in the air. We can't teleport in. But like, I don't know. It just seems like teleporting is the La Serena. It's in France, right?
Yes, it's right outside of Chateau Picard.
Yes, so that's why Picard, when he grabbed the stick in episode 3 or whatever, and he landed the ship. Seems weird to me that they were crash landing in LA and he somehow re-diverted them to France.
Well, he knew that they would be.
He knew it would be in a place.
Yeah, he knew it would be abandoned.
Right, and I know if you're high enough, that turn is possible. But like,
yeah, are you talking about marijuana or are you talking about like literal height?
Talking about spice. But no, sorry, I've watched too much Star Wars lately.
I thought it was Dune. Don't they have spice too?
They have spice too, but theirs isn't a drug. In Star Wars, it's a drug, I think. In Dune, it's like
Dune, it's like oil or something.
Yeah. It's like what makes interstellar travel possible.
Yeah.
I haven't watched it enough to. Yeah, I think it's an allegory for oil, basically. But in Star Wars, it's an allegory for any type of drug. Is just spice.
Okay. Yeah, I don't watch either of those really. So
yeah, I've weirdly watched both recently. But let's bear down a little bit on this this Guinan Picard thing. I enjoy. We talked a little bit about Guinan just appearing, but like, I enjoyed their interactions on the thing. But her leading him to the Watcher, like, we're burying the lead. We haven't talked about the Watcher and the fact that she looks like Laris. Like, what the heck?
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited about the Watcher, man.
Yeah,
I've been waiting for this for almost the entirety of my Star Trek watching life.
What do you mean waiting for this? What's this? What does this connect? Does connect to something for you or?
Oh yeah, it definitely connects.
Okay, what is it? What is it? What are we thinking this is from canon?
Do you remember Gary 7 from Assignment Earth?
No, not really.
Okay, there's an episode of Star Trek, the original series, where they meet a guy named Gary 7, and he has a cat who transforms into a human when it feels like it. Gary 7 says that there's a race of beings who basically said, like, look, if you want to go and help Earth out, we're going to actually abduct a bunch of Earthlings. He was abducted and trained. His body's in peak physical condition. He can't even get hurt he doesn't even pass out from a Vulcan nerve pinch, right? And he is sent to different periods in time to safeguard humanity and to get humankind through rough patches. And there are other agents, like in that episode, there are 2 other agents who have been incommunicado, and it turns out they were killed in an automobile accident. So anyway, like, I've always just thought that was a really, really cool concept for a show. And we've never, ever, except for like an extended universe stuff, like books and shit, we've never gone back to Gary 7 or whoever this mysterious race was who abducted him and trained him.
Right.
But they did refer to themselves as supervisors. The way that they said, well, they're more of a supervisor. And the transporter effect at the end was exactly the same.
Oh, it was?
Yeah.
Wow. Well, what episode is that with Gary 7?
Assignment Earth.
Okay. Well, man, how do we bury the lead this far? We're like nearing the end of the podcast. We're just now talking about this. That's very cool. And I'll absolutely go check that out. It's TOS, correct?
Yeah.
All right.
Assignment Earth. Yeah.
I'm going to go check that out. That's awesome.
Yeah, like they got their fingers in history. Like in the Greg Cox extended universe, the Greg Cox Khan books, it was Gary 7 who wound up helping Khan get the Botany Bay.
Huh. Okay.
And he was kind of responsible for keeping it that war a secret. But yeah, I mean, Jesus God, I would love to see more of that. Like, and it was funny because I was over at my mother-in-law's house, and 4 or 5 years ago when my sister-in-law Christy got into Star Trek, I got her this like gigantic puzzle that had it was drawn art, but it was like every character from the original series. And as we're putting this puzzle together, I'm putting in Gary 7's face on the thing and said, God, I wish they had done more with this in Star Trek. It was such a cool concept. And they were like, what is that? And I like explained it. And then like 2 days later or whatever, like I sit down to watch this episode and I'm like, holy shit, they're doing it.
Wow. That's freaking awesome, man.
But that, really cool. You know, the fact that there's a humanoid who could shapeshift into a cat would make sense as to why, you know, we don't know anything about these people. We really don't.
All right.
So if someone could like poke into Picard's head for a second and look like Laris or...
Sure.
Who knows? We don't know what their powers are. Like there's
had more than that, episode. Though. Why does him being named Picard, and I don't believe they explain this, why does him being named Picard change Guinan's mind?
I mean, it could be because of the time sickness. She could hear his name and know it's true.
Possibly.
We don't know.
It made me think, because he's asking her to take him to the Watcher. And she's like, no, you don't go to the Watcher. Like, that's not possible. And he's like, my name is Jean-Luc Picard. And he's like, Picard. It's almost as if she knows the Watcher's looking for a Picard.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it felt like to me. That like she knows that normally the Watcher like would not want to see anyone. Like, and clearly the Watcher has a problem, which reminded me of Q. Like, remember, which, you know, who knows if there's a connection there. We've got Q running around as well. But if the Watcher... Also, when Q saw Guinan and said, who is this imp, scared of Guinan, the way that the Watcher treated Guinan, like, no, you're an enemy. You got to run. You got to go away. It's almost like
right.
There's these different races that are sort of like interacting with non-warp species and like guiding the future. And the Elarians definitely are one of those. And it's like the Q, the Elarians, the Watchers. Like, it's this season is so cool. It's so rife with these like ancient species that are going to have all this impact on humanity. It's so much fun.
Yeah, I'm very excited, and I don't know why Q can't snap his fingers, or who that woman was reading the Dixon Hill book, or
I thought that was a Dixon Hill book. I just assumed because they also mentioned Dixon Hill this episode, but
it was someone working at NASA, and freaking Q had like the Europa thing on the you know what I'm talking about? The Europa project that we saw in the Sanctuary District.
I didn't catch that, no, but okay.
Oh, it's like the Europa project, boldly going where no one's gone before, or whatever.
That was,
and then like when
the Sanctuary District in the DS9.
No, that was like on Picard.
Oh, okay. No, I somehow missed that.
And then they were talking about or we saw the newspaper that Q was reading. And it said, I've got it written, there was an article about the Brenner Information Systems, which was a company that was established in DS9 in past tense.
Okay. So we've got some homework. No. I feel like
not if you've already done the reading, Matt.
Some of us have been preparing for this our whole lives.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Sadly.
No, that's super cool, man.
But I can't remember shit. I've been enjoying being on that Star Trek podcast.
Yeah.
With Sean Ray and Rick from Starbase 66 and those guys. But it is a little humbling because every once in a while I'll just say a thing that I just have believed forever. And they're like, that's not the exact wording.
Oh, yeah. They're I'm like, pretty deep on the lore.
A couple of them are.
That's cool. I enjoyed it. I listened to you guys live this week when y'all were live on Facebook.
Yeah,
that's fun.
It is. It's so. I'm not perfect on my memory. I would make a C if the homework actually resulted in a test.
Right.
Unless they asked me too much about Voyager, and then I would make an F.
Yeah. I would definitely make an F. I'm broad strokes and I enjoy this stuff a lot, but I don't know especially those like when it's like an episode that mentioned this one time, like this Gary Seven thing. I remember the name Gary Seven, and when I watch it, I'll probably be like, oh yeah, this episode. But like, it's not even in my brain. Like seeing that teleportation does not remind me of anything. So yeah, that's super cool that they used a similar teleportation.
It's a very, like big box.
Yeah.
It's very like
Doctor Who.
This is no. It's like a a big square opens from nothing and sucks them in. Like is very like distinct. I feel like.
Yeah. Was it like a smoke-filled square? Similarly.
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I remember smoke.
I'm gonna download that and watch it before next week. That's cool. That's really cool.
Or it's just on Paramount Plus. You ain't got to download it.
Well, I meant download it on Paramount Plus so that I can like watch it while I'm out and about. I always put things on my phone so that like when I'm out and about, I can watch them wherever I'm going or whatever I'm doing.
I just want to make sure that you're not advocating for piracy because
no, it's all on Paramount Plus, baby. I would never. I don't do that. I don't do that, man. I'm a straight-laced cat.
For at least 5 years. Since they started sending out the cease and desist.
I be ceasing and desisting.
There was no malice or intent. Did you ever see Sour Grapes, that Larry David directed movie with Greg Bierko and Steven Weber?
No, I guess not.
Greg Bierko wants to like. There's a part in the movie where Greg Bierko goes up to. He thinks he's dying, and his mother will not be able to handle it. So he wants a homeless man to walk into her house because she's got a bad heart and scare her, so she'll have a heart attack and be put out of her misery. Because he's like she can't take to see me die. So like. He gives Orlando Jones, who is a homeless guy in a tracksuit, the key to her car, to her house that says, "Go, you could live here." So he goes in, and you just see him walk in, and then you hear a woman scream and fall down, and then he comes running out. So like later, the cops are questioning him about it, and he was like, "Look, a man came up to me, gave me a key, and said, 'Go in this house.' There was no malice or intent. There was no malice or intent."
Funny. Oh man. All right. Well, tons of stuff that I'm excited about. I mean, for this next episode, and the rest of the season. Like, I'm liking the show on a lot of different levels, and there's a lot of different plot lines coinciding. So, I mean, we've got the Elorians, the Q, the Borg, and Gary Seven's people, possibly,
right? Like
all tying into this story. Like, whoa, what is happening here?
And if you're not paying attention, there are tons of little Easter eggs, like the organization they were donating stuff to outside of Ten Forward was a pop-up 21st Street mission, which was the mission from City on the Edge of Forever that Edith Keeler worked at. They had the same 1930s boxing posters from City on the Edge of Forever around town. Guinan's license plate was S02E01, Season 2, Episode 1, which is her first appearance in TNG and Picard.
Oh, yeah.
It's a lot of shit going on. Guinan's Saurian Brandy. I actually laughed when I saw the Saurian Brandy. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, I did too. I was like, hey, I know that bottle.
Yeah. So they're doing a lot, and of course the Kirk Thatcher bus gag was a great callback to Star Trek 4, even if it didn't make sense.
Yeah, it's like a callback to a future or a past that never existed.
Yeah, they have a lot of stuff in all these episodes, and they do a really good job with it. Generally, and I don't feel like it takes away most of the time.
No,
but if you're looking for it, you see the connections.
Yeah, it's super fun.
I am excited to know why Q is suddenly powerless. I'm excited to know more about the supervisors, the Watchers.
Yeah, yeah.
God, I've been waiting forever for them to do something with Gary Seven's people. Like, whoa, what is this?
Yeah, dude, I'm excited. I'm gonna go watch this week. I'm gonna watch that episode and Past Tense, because clearly with Sanctuary Districts and with the him being pushed toward one, like I just feel like we're getting close to some real collisions, and even just the fact that we're getting a major plot line that seems to be coinciding with a DS9 invention is also super cool. Man, just so cool. Okay, well, any other thoughts or predictions or whatever?
No real predictions. I will say be aware that Assignment Earth actually does kind of feel, I mean, it is very much a Star Trek episode, but it does feel like a backdoor pilot. Like they even like, it seems like they tease something at the end of the episode where Spock is like, they will have many more adventures to come or whatever. So it's like, I don't know how accurate it is, but there has been a rumor for years that Roddenberry intended for that to be a spinoff.
Very
called
cool.
Assignment Earth, but
right, never came to fruition or whatever. Okay,
yeah.
Sweet. Well, I'm excited. How cool would it be if we got Assignment Earth now?
I'd be, oh my God, I'd be so over the moon. Like, yeah. I would just, yes, please. Yeah, let's get Rainn Wilson in. Let's do the Harry Mudd spinoff that Roddenberry talked about, supposedly, maybe.
Like at that point, if you're riding that high as you are at that point, like the king of sci-fi on television at the time, you're just like, man, I'll make all the shows, and like none of them happen. You know, I'm gonna do the same thing that whoever the guy who made all those comedies that intersected, Mork and Mindy and
Norman Lear.
Yeah,
maybe?
is that who it is? Yeah, probably so.
Or Gary Marshall.
Yeah, that's who I had in my head, and I couldn't think of his
Gary
name.
Marshall. Yeah, I was thinking Norman Lear. That's Good Times and all that.
Okay, yeah, Gary Marshall. That's who I was trying to. Name I was trying to come up with, but he made all those, Happy Days and all the spinoffs of those.
Yeah, Johnny Loves Chachi and all that shit.
I bet there was a glint in the eye of Roddenberry that was like, I could be the sci-fi Gary Marshall, and didn't really. And I mean, he did create tons of spinoffs as the years went on, but it's all Star Trek.
Yeah, well, I mean, age-old. That's an age-old practice from the birth of television.
Sure.
Pretty much,
Yeah.
Andy Griffith Show is a spinoff.
Yeah. Well, and it's why we have that. What's that? Westfall universe.
The Tommy Westfall universe from St. Elsewhere. Yeah.
If you guys don't know what the Tommy Westfall universe is, go check it out. In St. Elsewhere, Tommy Westfall is a little boy who is looking. It is revealed at the end of the show that he's just a little boy looking into a snow globe. And a
little autistic boy.
Yeah, a little autistic boy looking into a snow globe, and the entirety of St. Elsewhere is in his head. But if you take that logic to its conclusion, it is all intersecting with basically every other show, including Star Trek, I believe.
Yeah. Everything is in Tommy Westfall's brain.
Yeah, there've been so many crossovers, and you can find these maps online that like show all the different connections of how like every TV show is connected to St. Elsewhere somehow, which means all of television is basically happening in the snow globe of this little autistic boy. Yeah. Pretty great.
They really made history with that ending.
It's like no one would remember the name Tommy Westfall, but like, yeah, we all do because of that very specific connection. Yeah. It doesn't really have anything to do with Tommy Westfall. It's just the fact that all the shows are connected. But it's pretty great. It's pretty go look at that map, and like especially if you can find explanations for all the connections, it's super fun. All right. Well, as usual, we've gone far afield from Star Trek at this point, so I guess that's about all. Y'all have a good day. Peace.
Joel on True, live long and prosper.
Thank you for listening to the Star Trek Universe Podcast, a Stranded Panda production. If you'd like to hear more from David C. Robertson, check out the DC On Screen podcast or maladjusted.tv for his web videos. If you'd like to hear more from Matthew Carroll, check out the Marvel Cinematic Universe podcast or listen to his music. Just search for Matthew Carroll anywhere you get music.